And welcome back to Clutch Time. Today we're talking about Georgetown versus Villanova. The Big East Championship game is tonight, getting ready to take off. And so we're doing a game preview. And so let's go ahead and jump into it. And so the first thing we want to look at is just the key thing overall to look for in this game. And so I think that the first point out of the entire game is that this game is going to be a very physical game. I think that both of these teams definitely don't necessarily like one another. They have shown that in the contest that they have had. Both really have been physical games. And Georgetown's come out on top. They won 87-71 in February. They came back in April. They won 82-68. And so Georgetown certainly knows what to do when they face Villanova. So expect for this to be a very physical game. Next up, I think that you can expect for points to be put up on the board in this game because between the two teams, you have Villanova, who is number one right now in the country as far as scoring the basketball as a team at 75.1 points per game. And then you have Georgetown coming in at 70.2. They are seventh in the country in scoring. And so expect for points to be put up on the board, even though it's going to be a physical game. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into team by team breakdowns here. And so with Villanova, their style of play, they like to run a very deliberate offensive scheme. So definitely a scheme in which they want to be patient. They want to make sure that they're maximizing the player movement and the ball movement, making sure that they get some good crisp shots at the goal, which really they've got one of the better field goal percentages out there in the country. And so that is another key for them. And then next, their man-to-man defense is very solid. And so it's a sneaky good because they have some very good rim protectors. They have some very good length as well. So be looking for that from Villanova if you have not got a chance to see them play. Some of the other stats that you are definitely going to want to look out for in this one, Villanova certainly will hit the boards. And so if you're hitting the boards, that is a team that it's showing you that they're physical because 33.4 rebounds a game, it leads the nation. And so these guys love to get up on the boards and go from there. They are second in assists. And so this goes into just having that type of offense where they really are deliberate in what they want to do at 15.9 assists a game. So second there. And this is a team that does not shy away from the contact. They get to the free throw line. In fact, free throws attempted 12.3 attempts, which is actually fourth in the country. So expect for them to get to the free throw line. And then as far as their percentage, they're second in the country at 74.2. And then talking about their defense again, where I was talking about how they're sneaky good. They are averaging 4 blocks a game, which is fourth in the country in block shots. So Villanova, look, you would think it's a finesse team, but they absolutely are a physical team as well. And so that leads us to the main player and which everybody's going to be watching out for with Villanova, and that's Justin Bell. So I know a lot of people talk about, they talk about Cooper Flagg, and they talk about all these other players that have been good as freshmen, but Justin Bell, to me, I think he's been the best. In my personal opinion, got a chance to watch some of his games, call some of his games as well, saw a game winner. And so Justin Bell, very cool customer out there. He averages 15.8 points a game, 3.6 rebounds a game, and 2.4 assists a game. And I really don't think that that necessarily tells the story of the impact of Justin Bell because he's such a great scorer. He's crafty too in the pick and roll action as well. So he can be almost like a point guard for you. He reminds me a little bit of like a Jamal Crawford type of player with the ability to be a point guard and then turn it on as a scorer. He can really give you anything you want, I think, as a combo guard. And it just seems like he's just not a freshman out there with the way that he plays with such poise. And so he is the main star to look for in this game for Villanova. And so when we look a little bit more into the details and looking into the loss for Villanova, the losses, I should say, for Villanova. And so in both of those games, Justin Bell, he shot 50% in the first game. He came back, he shot 60% in the next game. Remember, both of those were losses. He also increased his three-point shooting in both games as well. So he went from just one attempt up to 3 attempts in the second game. Didn't make any, in any of the games that he played against Georgetown. And then I think that this was probably the biggest stat out of the losses for Villanova against Georgetown with Justin Bell. negative 18 in the plus minus box score in the first game. He was negative 14 in the plus minus box score in the next game. And so both of those plus minus box scores were actually his worst of the season. And so he's played a lot better against other teams. So whatever Georgetown does defensively, they do it well against Justin Bell. And I think that is really going to be the key for Villanova. If you're a fan, he's got to figure out how to be a little bit more efficient against what Georgetown likes to throw at him. And then here's another thing as well. And so looking a little bit more deeper into it. So the points responsible for, he had 26 in the loss, and then he also had 17 in the next loss. And so what that means as far as the points responsible for, what that stat is, that measures a player's overall contribution to their team scoring by adding their own points to the points scored by their teammates from assists they've generated. Essentially, it combines a player's direct scoring with their indirect scoring through successful passes. And so, I think that when you see Justin Bell a little bit more responsible for the points and maybe taking a little bit more control of the ball and kind of making decisions, they were a lot closer in that game, but they still lost, 87-71. But when you take away the points responsible for, then that's where you see Villanova got into some real trouble. So tonight, Justin Bell is going to have to be huge for Villanova if they are going to win. And he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot and make a lot of tough decisions for Villanova if they're going to win. And so the X factors for Villanova, it starts with Mugen Williams. I think that Mugen Williams, with his motor, the way that he plays defense, his wingspan, the way that he can get up and down the court and be a lob threat for this team, he's absolutely going to be an X factor for Villanova. They're going to need him against that tough Georgetown defense. And then next, I think two other players that a lot of people are probably thinking there's no way that they would be an X factor, but they absolutely are. It starts with Demario Dang. I think his defense is definitely going to be needed tonight. And then also, too, it's going to be Tariq DaCosta Markham. I think that both of those players are going to be valuable for Villanova tonight. And I think that they are going to have to step up if this team is going to make a deep run in Hoopsteria, because it's not just about your star, it is about the others. And so be looking for that. And so next, let's go ahead and shift focus and look at Georgetown. And after we do that, we'll go ahead and jump into the prediction for the day. And so with Georgetown, we just talked about it at the top. This is a team that is top 10 in scoring at 70.2 a game. They come back and they're actually a good rebounding team as well, 32.2 as far as what they average. They're fifth in the country there. But more impressive, I'm more impressed actually with what they do as far as scoring the basketball, because they're fourth in 3-point attempts at 19.9. And then they're also eighth in percentages at 35% from the 3-point line. And so this is a team that wants to get up the floor and they want to shoot the three ball. So be looking for that tonight. Next, they're led by Atlee Backman. He's going to be the guy that you're going to be looking for tonight. He's predicted to be a second rounder in the SWBA. We'll see what happens. And so his numbers, 12.8 points a game, 4.6 with the rebounds. And so you're not seeing huge numbers with him, but I think he's a steady player. I'd like to see him be a bit more aggressive. That's my deal with him. And he also gets turnover prone as well. So be looking for that. But the one thing that he does do is he can definitely knock down the three ball. So 84 threes on the season, shooting 39.4 from three. This is a guy that can absolutely shoot the basketball from deep. So be looking for that. And I think that the X factors for Georgetown tonight, if they're going to beat Villanova for a third time, it starts with Jay Lassiter. And so Jay Lassiter, he's another freshman that I think he probably doesn't get a lot of credit, but this guy is going to be huge, I think, for Georgetown. You're looking at a player that really plays with this all-around type of game. I think that offensively they're going to need him. And more importantly, he's a two-way player at times. And so he can not only lock down on the defensive end, but he can also impact the offensive end too as well. But as a freshman, he's going to have to step up. And I think another player that is going to have to step up for Georgetown if they're going to win this game is going to have to be Keith Singleton. I think that Keith Singleton, Another freshman in this game is going to have to step up. He's a very good defender. He's pretty quick, but more impressed with his basketball IQ. He just seems to be in the right positions, and he's almost like a quarterback on the floor out there for Coach Cooley. And so he's going to be huge. Remember, him and Coach Cooley got into a little bit of an argument earlier in the year. And so these are two guys that are definitely on the same page, and they're going to have to be on the same page tonight if they're going to beat Villanova. It would be an upset for sure. And next up, I love the fact that he's great at getting to the rim. And so even if he gets a good miss, that is terrific for anybody that is just doing a rim run or around the rim. You can go ahead and knock that in for a tip, or maybe get a tip dunk because you're good at, or getting good penetration into the lane, and you're getting up some good shots here. And so with that being said, look, I like Villanova to shock Georgetown. I really do. I think that Villanova figures out what Georgetown has been doing to Justin Bell. I think that they're able to figure out ways to where Justin Bell is a little bit more freer on the offensive end. But also, too, I think that Justin Bell gets a huge impact from the others tonight. I do believe that Villanova is going to be ready, and it's tough to beat a team 3 times. It really is. And so that is why I like Villanova in tonight's game to win the Big East title. So let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. And look, as we always say, see the game and be the game. I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.